Hi, this is Isabel, and I hope everything finds you well. Today I am going to go over how to recycle cardboard, plastic packaging, and using up scraps that we tend to save because the paper is too pretty. Where do you store your leftover scraps? What do you do with your leftover scraps? That is what I will be showing you today. You can tell this basket is overflowing and crammed with paper. I decided to get a bigger plastic bin and place the scraps there. It fits a lot better and now I can actually see the paper. In the basket before, if the scraps were too small, they would get lost at the bottom or between the papers. As you can tell in the new plastic bin, I tried to sort them by size. All the smaller scraps I placed at the front and all the larger scraps I placed in the back. The bin is always placed nearby where I work. By the way, are you a standing or sitting crafter? I stand while I'm crafting. This makes me crazy tired after several hours. I have stools that I can sit on, but I prefer standing when I'm working. So yeah, that's me being smart and not sitting when I can't feel my legs anymore. Apart from keeping scraps in the bin, I also like to recycle cardboard from food packaging such as cereal boxes. I keep plastic packaging or damaged cardboard such as Christmas gift boxes. I save tissue paper for adding texture to my pages and packing paper for using under my projects so I don't further stain my table. All this I place in this container for when I need them. On days when I don't have time to craft or don't have any motivation, I get the scraps and I die cut random shapes. As you can tell, my Big Shot is very loved. It's very old and I'm dreading when it dies. It has been my friend for over a decade. My favorite recycled products to die cut are outdated calendars and planners. You always see them discounted and the paper is always pretty. I like the text and the lines. I usually cut shapes that I tend to use a lot. I also try to die cut new dies that I buy so I can use them. Here you see me cutting the calendars that I will later make some tags with. These die cuts are cut from packing paper that I kept under my projects. I stamped randomly all over it and did some die cuts. I made a video on this if you're interested in watching. As you can tell, my favorite way to use up scraps is to die cut them. Look at these shapes. I love the dress form. Sometimes the paper is not very pretty, but it can always be layered to give some height to your shapes. Apart from keeping good-sized scraps, keep the small pieces. Instead of using pop dots or foam tape, glue scraps under the paper to give it height and added dimension. You can save money by doing that. So, where do I keep all these die cuts? Yeah, I have several places I keep them in. One of the places I store random die cuts is this Craftsman toolbox. My husband was not using it, so I took it to my room and it never left. I keep the smaller die cuts at the top and the bigger ones in the main space. These die cuts are older die cuts, so they're all just thrown in there. Trust me, I go in there to look for the random shapes. Like I said, sometimes it's just to place under the main die cut to give the shape some weight to it. I keep the smaller die cuts in this tin box. They would get lost in the toolbox if I threw them in there. Not to say that I don't have small die cuts in the toolbox. These die cuts are more recent. They are tabs, small bugs, and little die cuts that I've cut here and there. In this next box, I have die cuts that I cut from recycled cardboard. You name it. I save cereal boxes, frozen food boxes. I especially like to save food boxes that are sturdy. Some of the cardboard is very thin, but some are thicker. I also keep the die cuts that I cut from plastic. I only keep the plastic that is clear and with no ads. As you can tell, I have a big selection of die cuts. I just have to remember to use them. I'm trying to be better and not buy any more paper. For today, I challenged myself to make some tags and embellishments with the die cuts that I recently cut and to use paper from the scrap basket. All I'm doing is layering paper and stamping designs and sentiments. It's really easy to find paper that coordinates when you keep your scraps in one area. This is actually easier than going through different paper pads to find the perfect combination. I find that I can make simple tags and embellishments quickly when I work from my scrap basket. Sometimes I just need something simple to do, and this is what I do. So my storage boxes are just functional. I don't spend a lot of money on this stuff. But yes, you do need to designate a space for all the leftover scraps that we tend to accumulate. And there are a lot of options for us crafters if we really want to spend some money. To make tags and embellishments with my scraps, all I need is stamps, die cuts, inks, glue, and of course the scraps. That's it for today's video. I hope you got some ideas on what to do with your scraps and ways to recycle product packaging that is meant for the trash. As far as organization, whatever works for you. My table is always messy, but I do like to keep my scraps in its own place. Please leave me a comment. It makes my day when I hear from other crafters. Bye.